In 2020, 18.6% of American imports were from China. It's really no surprise that a lot of our technology is made there. And somebody asked recently if that would ever change. So about that, hey there, I'm Katie Jones, and this is So About That, where we take questions and find those answers. Okay, so about that question. This phone, the camera that I'm recording on, and even the TV or computer screen that you're watching this through right now, there's a good chance that almost all of it is built using materials that are harvested in China. But in the next few years, all of that could change, and the Tampa Bay area might just be at the center of it all. Let's go ahead and break it down.
We know what's happened recently with supply chains and drying up of materials, etc.
So, about that recent car you were looking to buy, you may have noticed prices are awfully high right now. In 2021, the price of a used car shot up 37%, and now in 2022, the average price for, again, a used car is $29,000. Don't even get me started on new cars, because by the end of 2021, the average price had topped $47,000. But why is the car industry seeing skyrocketing prices?
I recently purchased a vehicle. I couldn't get any money off of the MSRP because the supply of new vehicles is limited because they also have the rare earth components and semiconductors.
Because of the pandemic, factories that manufacture parts, like semiconductors, shut down. As demand for cars continued to grow, producers were unable to keep up with the demand, lowering supply and increasing those prices. Let's talk about these semiconductors. They're made with rare earth elements, or REEs for short. A lot of these elements aren't actually all that rare in the Earth's crust, but mineable concentrations are less common. The group is made up of 17 elements, and they are crucial to the production of technology. Phone screens, computer screens, TV screens, hard drives, batteries in electric cars, even newer light bulbs all use these elements. And China absolutely dominates when it comes to the production of REEs. In 2021, the country made up 60% of the global production. Yeah, 60. The US falls in a distant second place, producing a little more than 15%. As a result, the US largely depends on imports of REEs from China. And these two researchers at Florida Polytechnic University, Dr. Jim Meny and Dr. Patrick Zhang, think they may have a long-term solution to make the US more independent. This is Bone Valley, and it sits right outside of Tampa. It's a stretch of land more than 1 million acres in size. It's also home to one of the largest known deposits of phosphates in the United States. Let's go back to 1895. At the time, there were about 400 phosphate mining companies in Florida. Mining was mostly done by hand, and these companies were relatively small. By 1911, that number dropped to about 30. And more than half of the companies were in Central Florida. Over the next few decades, these companies would continue to consolidate, and by the late 1930s, only 9 were left. Mining phosphate is actually pretty important. It's used to create fertilization for soils that may lack those phosphates. Experts at FPU say phosphate is necessary for plants to grow, and without it, plants can have stunted growth, including thin stems, and their foliage gets darker in color. So, what does this all have to do with technology?
And as part of the phosphate mining process, there is something called phosphoric acid sludge. And contained within that byproduct of phosphate mining are rare earth elements.
And Florida has tons of phosphate, literally. Reserves alone contain about 10 billion tons of soluble phosphate rock, and experts say based on the current mining rate in Florida, this would last more than 300 years. Now, Dr. Meny and Dr. Zhang have received $150,000 from the U.S. Department of Energy for Phase 1 of their project. This would help develop a research plan to recover, separate, and purify rare earth elements during phosphate processing.
Our primary goal is to meet the U.S. demand for these critical elements. If we could recover the rare earth from a phosphate process and just in Florida, we could meet the U.S. demand for many of the critical elements.
And those rare elements found right here at home could be used to build your next iPhone or even computer. Do you think that Tampa could eventually be a hub for producing this kind of technology?
Well, we're cautiously optimistic about that, and that's what we hope to do.
So, could Tampa be the solution to reducing the US's reliance on China, lowering tech costs across all industries, and potentially creating jobs for Americans? Put us down for a maybe, but experts certainly are optimistic about it. It may be a few years before we know the answer, but Dr. Zhang says that if it is successful, they may be able to supply the entire world with REs. Do you ever have any questions about the Tampa Bay area or why things are the way they are? Well, I want to hear from you, so send over those questions. You can email me at mjones@10tampabay.com, or you can find me on Twitter at KatieJonesTV. And don't forget to like this video and drop a comment below. Then hit the subscribe button so that you can watch the newest episodes of this series, along with our Welcome to Florida series and Jenna's investigative show, What's Brewin'.